And so they focused so much onto SK, which means they should be the ones that would have the answers to what SK is going to bring out.
Right now, yeah, and Humanist, they did say, Blackhawk, they did tell us, they are super focused on SK. They have played against them so many times. They keep getting knockout tournaments by SK Gaming. And is this a chance that they'll have to, turn things around and get their revenge?
Oh, it definitely is. It definitely is. This is a series I think that we could also see go to Game 3. Both of these teams have incredible depth. They can draft however they want to. They're talented. They have a wide hero pool. And yeah, I think this is going to be another really good series.
Yeah, and speaking of draft, we do have Blackhawk first banning that Adagio, a huge priority pick for many teams here in Europe. Rome, any thoughts on that?
Well, Adagio is such a flex pick, and you're able to play him in any position pretty much. So taking out Adagio and watching the games that have been played today, it's actually a really good choice. And because they're leaving Rona open, they're leaving Koshka open, it gives them, as a team that picks first, it gives them so much opportunity to build a comp around that first specific hero.
Right, having that flexibility is so important for a team composition. And right now, Blackhawk, they do have their first pick. Any thoughts on what they're going to take for Court Jester?
Well, it's kind of interesting that, with the Adagio and the Arden, that's two of the big roams out of that one. So who are we left with? Catherine, Fortress, and, Petal technically could, I guess, put there. Finn, the whole pool's just been ripped right open. But of course, with Koshka being such a powerhouse and very few bans, I guess it's not too much of a surprise. But SK, who do you go up against with Koshka? We've seen Ronas before.
Yeah, it's definitely very interesting to see. Koshka, definitely a huge priority pick here in Europe. And because they do have to ban out the Adagio, they do have to ban out the Arden, what is SK going to take next?
I'd like to see him actually play a Petal, but who knows? We know that they like to pick out those comps that scale later into the game, and they actually play very well around it. So they have to choose the jungle duo that's actually able to rotate really quick and play a bit passive, so that when they rotate up to lane, they can get help from the laner.
Most certainly, and one of the big things, so Sky, pretty good rotating fairly quickly. What do you think?
Jetpacks.
Sky's actually an awesome pick, and it's all going to be coming down how well she's played mechanically. With that high skill cap and with her mobility, using her to engage and disengage from a battle and repositioning herself is going to make a big difference.
Right, and one of the big things about this Sky pick is it could go Crystal, it could go Weapon. It's really up to how... I don't even know if it's going to be Jetpacks playing it again, but one good thing about it right here is that she's going to be able to kite around both Koshka, Rona, or all three of these members of the Blackhawk roster.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting that I said perhaps Rona to go against the Koshka, but taking the Fortress I think was really smart there from SK Gaming, that to ensure Blackhawk can't actually put those two together for that early game aggression. But this is a triple melee comp with Koshka, Rona, Catherine.
Yeah, this is the exact comp that the Weapon Sky wants to run into. So I do expect Jetpacks to be taking another Weapon Sky. The Crystal Sky would still work out very well, but what do you think the last pick is going to be, Rome?
For the last pick here, on the other team there's 3 melee, so for the last pick, trying to secure somebody with a ranged crystal is going to be really good and it really helps them out a lot. Or just getting somebody like Glaive to use the afterburn to pretty much peel for Sky, so that because Sky is already a very strong CP hero. She's able to pretty much use her skills, go in and just delete the entire enemy team.
Right. So we see the Cruel, or you can go with that, Who do you think is going to play this one?
Cruel is probably going to be played by Jetpacks with Waldemar on the Sky, and we can expect great things out of these two guys. They're very experienced and they have been playing for a while. Their specialty is playing later scaling comps, and when we're looking at Blackhawk here, is we can expect them to be very aggressive early in the jungle. They want to be able to capitalize on those early game mistakes, especially if Fortress is overextending.
Right. So the Cruel definitely have a huge priority pick. The Sky, there's so many options, so many ways for SK Gaming to take this game. Are there any last thoughts you have for these two matchups?
It's going to be Cruel versus Rona in the late game, and that's what's going to make the difference. But the thing on Blackhawk is they're going to need to be able to find way to drive down to the back line and kill this Sky before she's actually pretty much just using all her skills and spamming them on their enemy team. Because Cruel's going to be in the front, being that bruiser, he's going to make that big of a difference, because it's going to be Cruel against Rona, and whoever is farm better, whoever makes the better plays is going to win this game.
Most certainly, and taking us into the next game with these two teams, Blackhawk versus SK Gaming, will be Forecourt Jester and Tasty Bacon.
All right, thank you, Zken. And as mentioned, the Krull and Sky composition coming out here by SK. Is this something that Blackhawk was prepared for? That's the question that we're going to have to answer.
Well, when it came to that last pick, we were talking about somebody to peel, and well, technically from Hell's Heart, you can peel with it. The Crow himself would be a big threat there as well, possibly, you know, even a bigger threat than the Sky. And if he can draw all their aggro, I mean, who knows what that Crystal can do. But at the same time, it's Koshka and Rona. Like, early game, Kroll does not really stack up against them.
Yeah, and it's all about that jungle versus the jungle pressure in the early game. And that's where Kroll really suffers, is his ability to have pressure or have a presence in the jungle early on. And as you mentioned, again, Koshka and Rona, that's where they excel. Kroll is great at ganking the lane and going for, you know, level 1 or 2 fights in the lane, but this jungle should completely belong to Blackhawk here.
All right, guys, so we're going to be coming into the fold here. On the left-hand side, Blackhawk coming into this, you know, very strong yesterday. They had an absolutely powerhouse set of matches up against the Angry Pandas to put them here into the winners. But SK Gaming, I mean, they looked really shaky yesterday, but they pulled it out 2-0 despite numerous disadvantages. So coming into this, if they can do that again, that late game potential, that Crow will really shine.
Yeah, and taking a look at the jungle start, you see they did, on the side of SK, skip that very back healing camp so that they could get through, clear out all of their camps quickly, and then get to safety so that they avoid the skirmish in the middle of the map to start the game off.
Now, something to note is back in the draft, we said, you know, jetpacks, right? You know, because we saw that Sky, and we did see that weapon, but you could easily do it Crystal. It's actually jetpacks on the Kroll this round, so that's why we actually have that laning Waldemar into that lane. And if I still had to guess, you know, book of eulogies, all right, fine, Waldemar. That still doesn't mean he's going to go do a weapon, but he's really looking for some of that lane sustain. Oh, man, it's just not going to help him there. Not at all. That first blood coming into that lane is pretty brutal.
Yeah, Sauciska and Cold Ice saying, all right, you know what? We can't necessarily take over the opposing jungle. We'll just take over the lane instead, as that was a huge level 1.
All right, so there's the Crystal bit coming out from Waldemar, so we'll be that Crystal Sky coming out as we are more or less just expecting at this point. I mean, you don't go Crystal Kroll, at least last I checked at any rate. Cold Ice into that lane, though. Rona, she's a little bit of a monster, and now a little bit of a leg up there on top of Waldemar as well. So what has MyQ and Jetpacks have been doing? Well, not a lot of invading, but they have been holding down their jungle fairly well.
Yeah, they are a little bit behind just because Kroll is slower at clearing the jungle than Akashka is going to be. There's no way around that one. So but he is still holding up. You know, 11 CS to the 13 now to Sauciska. But of course, Sauciska also has that assist from the play that they made in the lane on Waldemar. And I wouldn't be all that surprised if they do put some attention onto this lane, because Waldemar is a big carry, but meanwhile in the jungle.
Yeah, Sauciska and Bastion, I mean, they're going into this, but they are just not going to be living right through that Kroll. Jetpacks and MYQ were able to actually kite that back enough that they were able to land just so much damage on top of Sauciska. And believe it or not, that invade, they engaged that one from that bush. They have a scout trap there in the tri-bush right by the gold mine, and they used that vision to their advantage. Fortunately, they just were not able to execute it whatsoever.
Yeah, and that which goes against all conventions. You know, we just spent so much time talking about how Kroll has no jungle presence, isn't strong early in the jungle, and he just got himself a kill early game.
Yeah, but remember, they're the ones that aggressed upon him. It's still not Jetpacks and MYQ going deep into Blackhawk's jungle. I mean, they're able to take away these forwards, and now with a point on the board, they got to be feeling really good about that counter, but at the same time, they are more or less just sticking to their side of the map.
Yeah, and Vision is going to be playing such a big part in this game. You see, there's flares picked up by both MYQ and Jetpacks so that they can try and have that vision, but in the lane.
Yeah, Waldemar, he's a big target, but unfortunately the 3-man just doesn't really seem to get it forward. Barrage is returning a good amount of damage on top of Bash and MYQ. I mean, they're just going to be A-okay out of this one. With the book as well, I mean, you're not going to be able to do a heck of a lot of sticking damage on top of Waldemar, especially with his CSing pretty on point at this round. So he's just going to heal that back up. MYQ, I mean, he's Fortress. He's just a tanky guy. It's really hard to take him down. And look at this, using that heroic perk to go right into that bush. Immediately just, hello, surprise. Bastion just really caught off guard on that one. Sauciska not taking a huge amount of damage, but you can see the weakness stacks kind of on both of them. We weren't able to catch them in. Jetpacks ever, no, he's really not going to be able to catch them in, but they will catch Bash into that lane. And, well, still just not a kill. And again, that is why we said this early game pressure is just really not there.
Yeah, however, they are still making good use of it. They've pushed now Blackhawk out of their own jungle, which is not something you expect to see a Kroll doing. They steal away that forward camp, and so they get a little bit of gold taken away from the pockets of Blackhawk. And
Ooh.
meanwhile, though, in the lane, Waldemar doing some serious work onto Cold Ice.
Yeah, that Surrey Strike was perfectly placed, but he's got to be very careful. Bash and Sasuke are right there. Waldemar might actually have eyes bigger than his stomach. Forward Barrage is going the wrong way. Surrey Strike for the dodge out. The into the fray doesn't actually land, but the bouncy fun into the twirly death, and Sasuke will pick it up there in lane.
Yeah, nice job picking up that kill, and that's just the early game strength of Kashka. Even though it looked like there was more than enough distance put between Waldemar and the side of Blackhawk, obviously the bouncy fun covers quite a bit of distance, and then of course the move speed that you get afterwards, able to secure the last little bit that he needed for the twirly death.
The Surrey Strike is a great repositioning tool, but when it comes to just kind of like a foot race, Koshka's really just going to come out on top of that one. And we see that repeatedly. I mean, I'm really surprised at the lack of Koshka bans now today, and she has been played, at a fairly significant rate, at least a lot in the games today. Into the fray or out of the fray, so to speak, for Cold Ice. He's just not wanting to deal with that. Nobody has that gold mine, but still, that's going to be death from above coming out. Doesn't really seem to hit the mark. Bashin is going to be actually a big target. He's down under half on that Catherine. Doesn't have that shield ready to go. MYQ still trying to chase this one down. Jetpack's there as well. That's going to be a stun. Bash is still going to keep himself going. Sasuga looks like they're going to get out, and the teams are just going to bounce off each other once more as it's low hit points but no deaths.
Yeah, the difficulty for SK Gaming here is going to be trying to lock down targets. They only have a death from above, but in the lane, that's going to be a lockdown.
Yeah, you want to talk about lockdown? Let's talk about Yummy Catnip Frenzy on the back of a Merciless Pursuit. That's going to be the third kill now going for Blackhawk. But oh, where are you going, Sasuga? Denied right there. Jetpacks, another kill under his belt. And now, again, like we're looking for a big control here of the gold mine. MYQ thinking, yeah, all right, maybe we can do this with Bash. Jetpacks has got to get up there. That's the Storm Shield, but will that be enough? Stun come out. Yeah, the Hell's Heart secures it. And that's going to be Kroll now with another. I think he actually has all three. He's 3-0-0 right now. This early game, Jetpacks is making me a believer.
Yeah, Jetpacks is just playing so well in the scroll. Gets the slow onto Cold Ice as well. Could be looking for another kill.
Yeah, but with Fortress right there, I mean, this is going to be damage and damage. Cold Ice has already used those escapes. He's going to be able to just use the foe splitter a little bit. Red miss for the steal, but it's just not enough. He does not get the return kill on top of Fortress either. And Jetpack just shrugs it all off. He's like really full hit points on top of this one, and his cash and purses just got to be flying.
Yeah, Jetpacks is making Kroll look like an early game hero right now. 4-0-0 at just 7 minutes in. This Kroll is going to be so devastating as now he's making these aggressive plays, chasing people around the map.
Well, he has that Shiver Steal, and if he can, have that sticking power this early on, there has not been an answer to him as of yet. 4 kills and nil. Double of those Blazing Salvos, but as I said a little bit, that Shiver Steal, a little bit more health, that's going to be great for a bit of sustain. But again, like if he can just stick to these people, if he can get on top of these heroes, he is just going to be a monster.
Yeah, and the answer is going to obviously lie within Bashen and Sosiska getting the lockdown with Yummy Catnip Frenzy and Merciless Pursuit. But
there it is. Waldemar needs to use a Surrey Strike for the reposition, but he's just going to get basically 100-0. Does not get out of that one at all. And again, like I'm seeing a trend. Once we have those 3 stuns ready to go, Waldemar has been a big target, and that has actually now been 4 deaths on Waldemar. We have 4 kills on Jetpacks, 4 deaths on Waldemar, 4 assists on MYQ. Finally, the gold mine's getting a little bit of attention here as well. Jetpacks a little bit too far forward. The silence comes out there from Bash as well. They really want to take home that Crow, but they're only going to have to settle for a Fortress, and that should be a gold mine going the way up. Blackhawk here as well.
Yeah, they do get the fight victory there. Passion actually taking a lot of damage from this gold miner, but they are going to get that immense gold payout. 300 gold to each member on the team is going to put them up by almost 2,000 gold here. So again, yeah, Kroll is getting very big. Yeah, Kroll is going to be extremely difficult to deal with, but they are shutting down Waldemar so hard. Yeah,
he has just not had his day. I mean, that book of eulogies is great for the lane, but when it comes to some of these fights, he's just been locked down. It doesn't matter if you can lifesteal off of anything, even 100% lifesteal. If you're stunned out for days, you're not going to get anything out of it. And, we need some reflex blocks. Coming into that, Waldemar has one.
Yeah, Waldemar picking it up. That's going to be, obviously he's the one who's been getting targeted by all the stuns,
yeah,
so
makes
it makes sense. But at the same time, it could be that the mental game, they've been focusing everything on Waldemar, so he's the one who rushes the reflex block, Now they turn all their attention onto Jetpacks, who still has no way to stop any of those stuns.
That would be a great mind
game.
game.
If those stuns do come out onto Jetpacks, he's going to be nullified in these fights. While Waldemar, he does have a good amount of farm. He has been able to keep his CS up, but again, 0-4-0. He's not doing the best performance that he's ever had. And so they were able to shut down Waldemar early. Now they need to try and shut down Jetpack's lead.
All right, so with that Ronin, the red mist, Catherine is now also built into that Fountain of Renewal. So with that lockdown, with that red mist coming out and the Fountain, I mean, it could actually be a really hard time to take down this Ronin. There comes the puppies coming out of this as well. MYQ really wants to make this happen. He just absolutely melts. He's not going to be part of this fight. Now Waldemar and Jetpacks, they're going to be on the run. The yummy catnip frenzy into the back, keeping Waldemar from going too much farther. No reflex block there. There it is. It's finally coming out, but the stuns are already done. It looks like he will actually live, believe it or not. And Jetpacks as well. There was no shift of focus. It was still pretty much on top of that sky, but whatever MYQ was trying to do, it just got shut down.
Yeah, they were able to... They kept the gold mine, which was the big thing that they wanted to keep. Is Black the Hawk, they focus so much on getting that gold mine early and just keeping control of it. That's their big emphasis, is gold mine #1. And so they have that. They were able to hold it. Now they can continue to build this gold lead that they have. It's approaching 3,000 gold, so they are steadily increasing their lead.
Yeah, a little bit here, a little bit there with that 1 kill and the turret. I mean, that was definitely a big swing. We're halfway there for the gold mine itself. We should be seeing some candies coming out here for Bashan fairly soon to go with that, so that Blackhawk can try to secure themselves another payout in terms of that immense in the next 2 minutes. And then even past that, 2 minutes more, it's going to be that Kraken. So we are starting to get to that mid game, that late game. These guys are going to be thinking about finishing up some of these items, some of these levels, and getting infusions. But the first thing on the docket is Blackhawk to secure this gold mine.
Yeah, they're just going to be playing around this, trying to make sure that they keep it. As SK is moving around, the breaking point from Kroll is completed. Item number 2. So it's not quite the first item rush that I like to see, but it is still coming out very early, which is good. That's how you need to play Kroll, in my opinion.
Cold Eye saying, I'm just not even going to deal with that bush. Just goes right over it. And again, like, this is not a comp from SK Gaming that really is getting a lot done there in that lane. I mean, that turret is just very, very, very healthy, whereas SK Gaming has already lost out one of theirs as well. 2,000 gold now between these teams. Bash, not exactly the big target you want to be building stacks on there from Jetpacks, but he could get those breaking points, and who knows? Could that actually be enough? Weakness now going down on top of it too. Death from above, just not going to be stunning anybody. Sazio walks right into it, just gets absolutely deleted. Bash is now going to be very quick on that recovery there as well. And Cold Eyes, he has that red mist. It's going to do work, but it's not going to do near enough. And that will be now an ace going the way of SK.
At breaking point, it was just picked up by Jetpacks, paying off in spades there. He was up to 12 stacks on breaking point, and for those of you that may not know, breaking point, it gives you 9 weapon power and 5% critical strike for each stack.
60% by the end of it.
Yeah, that is an insane amount. And not to mention over 90 extra weapon power.
Did you see the 500 damage crit that came down on top of Sasuke? Now, I'm not going to lie, my first thought was he walked right into the death from above. Oh, that was a silly move, but that was his team's death from above. That was literally just a hit from Jetpacks. 500 damage at the 11-minute mark. That is truly phenomenal. So, he built up the stacks, he spread out that weakness, and that paid off extremely well. But as we were saying a little bit earlier, I mean, SK Gaming not going to get a lot of, huge counter pressure going out. They were actually able to take down that turret because of the ace buff, and, well, I mean, this gold mine's not going to be the next big contention factor here from Blackhawk, but gold lead has definitely reversed.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a very big swing, and Jetpacks also now was the first one to level 12. Waldemar has also hit level 12, but the fact that both members of SK Gaming were the first two to cap out on level, it just goes to show how well they've been able to continue farming despite the fact that the fights had not been going in their favor.
Well, it's definitely in their favor now. They take the gold lead, they take the kill lead, and they equal out the towers, even taking the gold mine from that as well. And, Kraken going to be coming out here in the next minute 10 or so. SK, are we just waiting for cooldowns at this point? No, everybody's, okay, almost everybody's up. Fortress is kind of the lagger behind, but that's only 5 seconds off. So with the Kraken now going to be coming into the map in about a minute, that's definitely a priority, and team fights are going to become much more important.
Yeah, everyone's been kind of hovering around the middle of the map now. Blackhawk did back off They were, I think, hoping to be able to go in and try and take that gold miner back, but because of the fact that SK was playing so defensively around the middle of the map, they just had no opportunity. The damage coming out from this Crystal Power Sky, sitting on a Broken Myth and the Frostburn. Obviously, the Frostburn was the first item picked up there to add to that slow. It's all three members have some way of slowing their opponents because that's what they need to be able to keep Krull on a target, keep that breaking point stacking up and getting that insane amount of damage.
Jetpack's picking up that infusion. He knows that this is the very critical time. They're going to go now up into that top. A few scout traps going back and forth. This movement speed from the shadows paying off very well there for Jetpacks because MIQ can just kind of keep up with him. But those are out. The scout traps are now down. The vision is gone. 161 gold from the decent payout as the Kraken comes into it. And Waldemar with that Broken Myth, as he said, I mean, the Crystal Sky, he gets a few stacks of those. Those forward barrages are going to start hitting much harder. So who do you prioritize? Is it going to be the Sky or is it going to be this Krull? Because both are looking very deadly. We'll have to find out. That's going to be a focus on top of Jetpacks, though. Silence is going to be there as well. MYQ not looking so healthy. Red Mist is doing some fantastic work. MYQ on the retreat. He's actually going to come back into this one, seeing if Waldemar can now just clean this one up, and I think they can. That is going to be 3 kills in the midst of it all. Red Mist or no, Jetpacks is looking phenomenal. Waldemar coming out of that one as well. Very healthy. Yeah, they lost out MYQ, but it's because of his sacrifice that they were able to get that ace and the Kraken. 10 kills now for SK Gaming.
Yeah, SK Gaming has completely turned this around. It looked in the early game like they were going to be falling further and further behind continuously because Blackhawk was doing such a good job of keeping Waldemar down, but Waldemar was able to, again, despite the fact that he had given up so many kills, he kept his CS numbers up. He was leading in CS despite being down 4 kills in the early game. So a really phenomenal job playing this one out by SK Gaming, and now they have this Kraken pushing in. They're going to really pick up a lead here. They're already at 2,000 gold, but they're about to get a lot more.
Well, the Kraken is going to push in, but would you believe it's only 1 turret for the difference?
I'm very, very confused as to why SK didn't push in for that.
MIQ was just finally able to join the team. Remember, he did go down. It wasn't a flawless ace, and they didn't want to fight in a 2v3 with turret situation.
I don't know. I still think because you have that Sky, the range with the Kraken, they could have easily pushed down that 3rd turret of the game and picked that one up, get another 900 gold for the team. However, it is going to be sitting relatively healthy now because they did just back off completely on that Kraken.
All right, 16,000 gold to just about 17. Not really a huge difference when it comes to that cash, but in terms of just the overall pressure, SK Gaming has really come into it here at the mid. The Krull was not shut down early. There was no real counter jungling that was successful up against Jetpacks, and now with control of the map pretty much just in SK Gaming's pocket, that 1,000 gold lead is definitely not the story, but the 3-kill lead, again, not it. It's all about the pressure from SK. Yeah,
and we just saw Kashka picking up now a crystal infusion in the inventory. So the infusions are going to be a big factor as the fight starts off.
Now again, big stun, Silence as well on top of Waldemar, but he still gets out of it alive. Death from above is just preventing the chase, and now that's going to be it for Bastion to the back. No, the stun from Waldemar, they were actually traded out. Sasiga and the Red Mist, they finally take down the Crow, and now MYQ cannot stay alive and prevent that ace. Sasiga and Cold Ice and Bash able to get just a fantastic engage, really pressure out Waldemar. You know, a few maybe panic button hits right there, but an ace for them, and they're back into this.
That death from above actually almost hurt SK because of the fact that they put the death from above down and said, hey, you have to walk through this if you want to continue the engage. It killed the stacks of Krull's breaking point.
That's 2 turrets right there.
Once it reset, they were just able to go in and win that fight because Krull wasn't life-stealing enough, wasn't able to do enough damage because that breaking point reset. So the death from above, yeah, it was great in terms of preventing them from getting, the fight and continuing the fight the way they wanted to. But at the same time, it also did get those stacks reset, which Krull needs those stacks. That is everything for Krull.
Metal Jacket and Atlas Pauldron, quite a bit of armor actually here on the side of SK Gaming, and a little bit of a rude wake-up call right there for them as well. 11 kills to 10, and all of a sudden they were ahead for a grand, and now they're down by about 3. Minion mines are coming into it. We should actually have a Kraken coming back here within the next 60 seconds or so.
And double Atlas Pauldron on the side of Blackhawk to help deal with everything.
Armor.
Everything is based around dealing with that Krull, trying to keep his stacks down. If they can get those stacked up and alternate them, instead of make sure they don't use them at the exact same time.
Right, stagger them.
It will have Krull's attack speed so low that the breaking point is just not going to be able to do enough for him. But this is such a close game. This may be one of the closest games we've seen yet at this tournament.
Well, of course, we did just come off of the Battle of the Titans, M1 or Media Pixel up against Team Snow, and that was definitely a huge treat. Getting there to our first game 3, possible, and we could actually do it here. Blackhawk and SK Gaming playing out of their minds, and a few more infusions to go. That Kraken is coming back into it as we hit the 20-minute mark, and the positioning here from SK is really good. They have, not only the Fortress ult to kind of do their scouting, but with this party bush ready to go, I mean, it feels like they have a huge positional advantage.
It sort of snuck through there a little bit. I just caught a glimpse of it before it went away. Catherine just got an aftershock. So adding a little bit more damage. Yep.
All right. Yep.
We saw
it's totally there.
We saw the breaking point on Arden. Now we have an aftershock on Catherine.
Gotta prepare for them pandas, yo. All right, so MYQ, he's gonna jump in. That's gonna be a silent stun on top of MYQ as well. Needs those puppies. Yummy Cat and Frenzy not gonna get anything done. Death from above, still separating the wheat from the chaff. And Sasika is gonna get stunned down. The Suri Strike coming back into it. That is gonna be the first kill going down. Waldemar is actually not gonna be living through this. And the Red Mist is doing fantastic work. MYQ is down. Can Jetpacks bring this one out? He can. He has enough hit points, but he has 2 targets. He will live, but he will not get an ace, and I think we will just trade this out for a 2-2.
Yeah, that stun right there and the retreat
or
is
not
absolutely crucial from Bastion. The stacks were still sitting at 9 or 10 for Jetpacks. As soon as that stun connected, immediately they started to drop down, and he just didn't have enough to continue chasing. But Cold Ice on this Rona doing so much work in these fights.
Now she's looking for blood. I mean, can she actually take on Jetpacks 1-1 here?
I mean, they both have the breaking point, but...
They both have infusions. Actually, have a Crystal Infusion on ice there as well. Yeah, he really wants this. He wants to take home Jetpacks and say that, yeah, I can definitely do this, but unfortunately just does not have the move speed or the support here. Bash now finally coming out into the fray here as well. And, by the end of it in that fight, it was actually still a better trade for Blackhawk.
Yeah, just slightly. The kills are now dead even, 12-12. The gold is swung pretty heavily in favor of Blackhawk in the last couple of minutes. But again, we're getting to that point where gold doesn't really mean quite as much as it does.
Gold is now for
minutes ago.
infusions.
It's pretty much. Both teams just focusing so much onto infusions. There's still a couple of items that can come out. Not everyone is quite sitting on 6 completed tier 3 items, but Kraken is on the board, and the infusions again. Both teams starting to rock weapon and crystal infusions.
MYQ right into that bush. Is it going to be the big stun lock? Well, there's the silence as well. Into the fray, gets Cold Ice into that back. They're looking for the Suri Strike, but there it is. The Death from Above coming out as well. Kiting for days. It is going to be Rona taking on MyQ once more, and now Cold as Ice is going to be Cold Killer right there as Jetpacks goes down, and now it is just Waldemar. He's running for his life. Can he stop out this ace? He gets one. He looks for the second, but it is going to be a cornered situation for him here. Another Death from Above. He is really milking that cooldown reduction over the wall, and Bastion, oh, so very close. The Storm Shield keeping him alive to the end, and Waldemar will get out of that sticky situation and prevent the ace, but again, it is a 2-for-1 trade for Blackhawk.
And Blackhawk just slowly chipping away. They keep getting small little victories, but again, we talk about it especially in the early game, but it still matters in the late game. What do you get off of these trades? They killed 2 members, but both of their surviving members are so low that they have to recall, and nothing really comes off of this. More infusions, because they're pretty much just going to have an infusion on at all times, all 3 members at this point, because if you go into a fight without that, you're going to lose.
Yep, it is kind of that time of the game. 23 minutes in, definitely coming into, I think, one of our longest stretches of games that we've had here in the EU finals in Katowice, but Blackhawk, they are getting these kills, but unfortunately they're just not really getting too much after the fact.
Yeah, like I said, they've just been getting dropped so low and not quite able to secure the aces there. And huge credit to SK and Waldemar, especially on that last fight, to be able to dodge out and avoid the collapse. They were trying to pincer him in there, and a huge play on that series strike, able to escape the what looked like it was going to be the inevitable. But here comes what could be the game-deciding fight. A great job running away from this one.
As Toucan Sam says, follow your nose, and there we go. They're going to find the team here from Blackhawk right in front of that turret. The Death from Above says, you have to fight this, but that's going to be a Yummy Cat and Frenzy into the back. The Hell's Heart, I don't think, actually hit anybody, and now it's going to be one kill on Koshka. She went a little bit too deep. Cold Ice is still doing work, but now he's out of tricks. He has to use that into the fray, but another Death from Above cuts him off, and that is going to be the reposition and the kill. 2-0. Finally, SK takes something of a better trade in these late game fights. They're going to get a lot of gold and a turret, and they're probably just going to get that Kraken on the end is here as well.
Yeah, they have over 30 seconds before Sasiska is back up. That was such a big fight, and it was just a slight mistake by Sasiska. Went too deep with that Yummy Cat and Frenzy. Of course, when you do use it, you're at the mercy of your opponent. How far away can they get before it actually jumps in?
All right, Bash, show us your stuff here. We got that aftershock. Can you do this? MYQ saying, no way, Jose. He is going to be zoning him back out, and that is going to be a Kraken. A 500 damage and 588 heal going to Jetpacks. This is like, what? Did I just do a Kraken? I don't know. I'm full health here.
Yeah, and it was full health before the regen buff kicked in. But the respawns are here now for Blackhawk. They can try and defend this. They only have their 2 crystal turrets left to defend. However, they're going to have to deal with this team of SK coming in with the Kraken. And now this time, SK looks like they're going to actually push in with the Kraken.
Can SK actually just like ignore the team and go for the turrets? I feel like Waldemar could just absolutely shred them.
I don't think so. I don't think they can quite just ignore them. But we're about to find out as they're going in here.
Yeah, Surrey Strike to start things off after that lock-on. Waldemar staying into the back. The Kraken down about half. MYQ is doing some good damage there on top of that turret. The puppies are coming out. That's going to be a death from above. Bash is dropping low. Turret's already down. The Kraken is about a quarter life. And that's going to be a Yummy Cat and a Frenzy on top by Sasika. But she's a little bit now deep. Bash is trying to keep her alive. Cold Ice is there as well. They cannot get Waldemar. And the turret is going to drop. And again, as I said, I think they could just probably ignore the team somewhat, and they go for the crystal, and they get the kill. That will be SK Gaming taking the first game of this series.
What a game. SK able to pick up the victory there after, again, what